This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning again. My name is Paul Grzella. As I said, I'm the director of the Greater Raritan Workforce Development Board, serving Hunterdon and Somerset counties. Our job is to ensure that we are connecting employers and job seekers to create a robust workforce system that keeps people on sustainable career pathways, sustainable wage career pathways, and also ensures that our employers have the access to the world-class employees that live in our two counties. We provide a number of services, and this is a new, relatively new presentation that I developed at the request of another library system in Somerset County, working with material from the New Start Career Network, which focuses on long-term unemployed job seekers. I took three different presentations and tried to combine them into one, focusing on what your job search is telling you, strategies for unsticking your job search, and tips for creating a targeted search plan. If you have any questions during the course of the webinar, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat feature or just to unmute yourself and ask. I have no issue. Looks like there's 5 of us here, so I think it's a small enough group that it won't appear too unwieldy. This is something that often happens, according to experts, when people are looking for conducting a job search. Like a good or a bad relationship, you've got your backs to one another, and you're not really kind of working in a forward-looking manner. The goal of this session is to develop a healthier relationship with your search, explore how you can listen more effectively to what your search is telling you, and use that information to adapt and respond. And sometimes it's accepting things that you would rather not think about, but kind of learning to deal with those realities. We'll discuss some strategies for making a learning from your search just an ingrained habit, something you don't even have to think about. We'll also review some strategies to unstick your job plan and tips to create a targeted job search. I see one more person's just joined us. That's fine. This is only the second slide, so you haven't missed anything, and thank you for joining us. And this session is being recorded, so you'll be able to, and that link will be put on our website, so you'll be able to get it from there. This is just a general slide that is included in a lot of different presentations from the New Start Career Network, showing how how employers hire and what direction they're using versus how people often look, and kind of trying to help job seekers understand that networking and word of mouth is one of the things that is important as you are creating doing your job search, because sometimes the two halves don't always meet nicely. Often when people are in a job search, they get into a run cycle. And by that, the experts mean that they're not learning from the experiences. They're not seeing the connections that can be telling between actions and results. You're not strategic or targeted enough. You get stuck in fixed behaviors and actions that inevitably make you reactive rather than responsive or proactive. And rather than building healthy habits, you build unhealthy habits. The run cycle. So it's one of those one way that I think inevitably it's easy for us to fall back on things that we're comfortable with. And one of the points of this session is to say that it's okay to be uncomfortable, but really then how do you deal with that uncomfort? Do you fall back into an unhealthy habit, or do you try to make a habit that can lead to more success? People in job searches, according to the experts, also get stuck in a sit cycle where they're they overanalyze everything. They call it analysis paralysis. We often, I think, also try to, in the sit cycle, you are always seeking advice. You seek a lot of validation, and you're looking for some magic bullet that will resolve or present a resolution to your issue. You also, in this cycle, can get some good advice, but you then don't use that advice. You don't turn it into something that's actionable that will change the result for you. And then you end up getting stuck in your job search. And that's one of the things that we want to try to help people get unstuck. The act reflect cycle is what we want to strive for in a job search, and enables you to adapt to changing situations and new information, less reaction, more proaction and response, and that you start to integrate whatever you learn from your job search into your action steps. This will also help you grow some resilience and build some of the skills that are necessary to have in today's workplace, regardless of what position you have. These are skills, the collaboration, team building, that we see in job postings. One of the services that we do is we have a labor market specialist from the state who calls the area's job listings for the county, and we show quarterly what the most job openings are by position, by town, by company, and then they also highlight what are the skills that are most often listed in these job listings. And as I said, collaboration, teamwork, the ability to be resilient. Those are all attributes that are most often listed in a job search. I just see I have an email here. I will share the website link at the end of this, where this will be posted, and we should have it posted by this afternoon. It'll be on www.thegrwdb.org, but I'll show that at the end of the presentation as well. The act reflect model helps us be in relationship with our search in a healthy way so that we can find our way to the next opportunity. To get to this point, though, we also need to really build our listening muscles as well. And that's, sometimes it's listening to what people are actually saying, but it's also listening to what the results of whatever you're doing are telling you. Why don't we listen effectively? Sometimes because we don't want to make time for it. And inevitably, we don't always want to hear the bad news, so we just kind of turn our head the other way. Or we don't know exactly what to listen to. So it's there are three pieces of this pie here that are given equal weight. And I think particularly now, as we're all continue to adapt to whatever COVID is telling us, it can be even harder to change our habits and not really deal with some of the what some of the patterns are telling us in our lives. One of the things that a strategy to think about is make time, commit to taking at least a day to take a hard look at what's happening. Start thinking about being willing and able to do touch points every couple of weeks, say, and review what's happening to see what may I need to change, what may I need to do differently, what may I need to stop doing, and what may I need to start doing to have more success. And also, and I know this is hard, I don't often do it because I allow myself, going back to the previous slide, I allow myself to get busy in I think they're important things, but as my husband often tells me, you really didn't need to stay to do that. So I fall into the trap of continuing to do something because I'm comfortable, it's something that I feel I can get done, and I don't take the time to actually reflect on what happened and what happened in my day that would, if I thought about it more proactively, would make the next day a little more effective and better. And this is something I think we all know. Just because we don't want to deal with it doesn't mean it will go away. It's important to acknowledge that we're avoiding information because of anxiety and fear. Doesn't make you a bad person. I think that's something we all share. But we also, in doing that, we also have to realize that if you're avoiding the unpleasant information, not only will it keep you in stasis, but it could make things worse and harder to get out of that rut. Accepting that that those feelings that we have are real, but that they also will pass. And most importantly, no shame, no blame in any of this. We're all human, and this is just something that we need to address honestly and forthrightly without giving it some type of value that's not valid. What's next? Do we want to think about process, fit, and motivation? Those are some of the elements that can help, if you start thinking about them in chunked ways, can help you get some new success in your job search, or this is a way to plan your job search. Some things that are junk food for your job search to think about, according to the experts. Your plan is in your head. Good for you, but if you just have it in your head and don't actually have a plan A and a plan B, for example, you're not really giving yourself a solid ground to start. You worry about having your resume perfect. You isolate yourself sometimes. And also, you connect primarily with other unemployed job seekers. While that is certainly, those type of support groups are valid and very important because they can be affirming, they should not be your only realm of influence, the only people that you're associating with. It doesn't really build success. Sometimes we get stuck in ageism. Either I don't have enough experience for this job, or I have the experience, but people are going to say I'm too old. And we get into a unhealthy cycle of trying harder, and then taking a break rather than trying to figure out a way to pace ourselves. And we ask other people, do you have a leads, for example? Well, that's not a bad thing. It's not ideal in how you should conduct a healthy job search. And also, as my husband would say, sometimes you become inadvertently a help rejecting complainer. You get some advice and then you say, oh, that doesn't apply to me. What are you talking about? Or that doesn't work, rather than thinking about, well, how could I make this advice applicable to my situation? It's important in this, as a strategy, to track your activity and again, not beat yourself up, but look, what am I doing and how am I spending my time? Am I spending time on things that really matter, or am I spending things on time that are busy work and that I'm comfortable with rather than being challenged? And again, the experts say, really how are you spending your time? And understand and be honest with yourself. Are your actions helping or hurting? Again, we fall back into patterns that are most comfortable, but they're not always the most profitable for whatever our goals are. And as part of that evaluation, what are the results are you seeing? Are you making connections? Are you having positive conversations that could lead to different next steps? Are they resulting in interviews or discussions at least? And ideally, are your results seeing, or offers among your results? And also, I think it's important to think about how have your activities changed over time, and have those changes changed the results, or have your activities stayed the same and you're still getting the same results? Again, we're not experts are not saying don't beat yourself up about what you're doing, but have some honest self-reflection about where you are and what you're doing. It's important as a strategy to evaluate your organization. If you were doing this as a work project that you had to turn over to somebody else, would they be able to pick up where you left off? Would they be able to tell you what you're working on? If this was a work project, think about honestly evaluating it. Is this really what I should be doing, or how I should be doing it? Again, is everything in your head? I know sometimes I'm guilty of that, but I'm getting better about, particularly in this job, because it's a relatively new job for me. I've only been doing it for a year and a half, trying to write more things down. I have, if you could see my desk, there's posts everywhere. It's not always as neat as it should be, but I'm trying to get better about really having actionable things so that I can get from point A to point B to point C. Do you spend a lot of time just trying to get organized? Then maybe you need to think about how you're approaching what you're doing, and also making sure that the experts suggest, using a Google Drive, a Google Calendar, or some other web-based tools that can make whatever you're working on as accessible anywhere, anytime. And this is something you see that New Start Career Network emphasizes a lot as you're doing a job search. Do you have a plan? You may have a plan A, but do you have a plan B, a plan C? Are you targeting jobs? Are you targeting companies? And are you trying to work on these plans simultaneously? I know it can be a little overwhelming. When I was back in January of 2019, when I knew I was going to end my job as an editor at a local newspaper, after working at the location for 35 years, I knew that the job was coming to an end and that I would be retiring. But I was already thinking, I would say in December, 2 months before, I had targeted different industries and different jobs that I was kind of thinking, well, this could be something new to do for the last 5 or 10 years of my work life. And I was trying to have different plans in place to really think about what might happen next in my life. And again, it's important to actually write it down and outline your goals, strategies, and tactics. This is an example of what experts are talking about with the goal, strategy, and tactic. And you could have more than one. You may have one overarching goal, but you may have a couple of strategies, and then you may have different tactics to get to those strategies, each which may take a little bit of time, but not overwhelm it if you start to plan out what you're doing. For example, one of the strategies that I was thinking about as I took this job was ensuring that I used my LinkedIn account to promote the different products, programs, and strategies that we have to help job seekers and businesses. And one of my tactics is to make sure that at least once a day, sometimes twice, though I try not to get overwhelming, that I do post something that links back to our core responsibilities, so that people who are using LinkedIn can see the value of what a workforce development board can provide for job seekers and employers. And my LinkedIn profile, I have about 2,000 connections, so it's been a positive way to reinforce what we're doing while also using our brand accounts as well. And luckily, my colleague is great about using the brand account. Again, I know this is, personally, I know this is a hard thing for myself to do because, like I said, I get lost in the easy things. Maybe I spent too much time on tactics and not enough time on strategy. But it's important, particularly if you're not getting the results that you want, decide think about what has to change. Is your goal realistic? Well, maybe your goal is good, but is your strategy or your tactics to reach that goal, maybe you need to tweak them somehow. Think about your effort. Think about your organization. And think about what are the other job search skills that you need to grow in order to be successful. As a corollary to that, what are the bad habits that you need to break? And what are the better habits that you need to replace them with? So maybe it's, just making sure that if in your job search, you're dedicating 30 minutes every day to looking on LinkedIn or looking on different job platforms, job listing platforms, whatever you think will work for you. It's also, I think, important to understand how you fit into the current market and think about employment versus contract work versus remote work. We certainly have seen since the pandemic began an increase in remote work, and we don't expect that to change. So if In fact, we can expect that to continue and maybe even grow. So if you're someone who hasn't done remote work, what do you need to do in order to become comfortable with working in a team environment that's done remotely? What are the new skills and requirements for from your previous occupation that you can build and align with what's in the marketplace right now? And it's also important to, as you're thinking about all this, really understand, is this work that I really want to do? Is it just going to be a stopgap for me? And if you're just, want something for 6 months to a year to keep you through, that's fine. We all need that sometimes, but it also doesn't hurt to really think about, what is this a time when I can really take the skills that I have and make them applicable to a new environment, or a job that I really hadn't thought about that maybe will work for me. And that's one of the things we often think about and talk about in the workforce world. Somebody who it was in hospitality, for example, may be really good at customer service. So what other roles in new occupations do those strong muscles of customer service would work in an occupation that with just a little bit of tweaking and knowledge that you could really just thrive in? So it's really starting to think about some of those sorry, I'm losing my train of thought for some reason. It's thinking about how you can better look at what your next job can be and think about it in a macro way rather than a micro way. It's also important to understand what's happening in the job market right now, and what it takes to be considered to be a competitive candidate, and what skills and expertise employers are paying for. We have that information right on our website on the GRWDB.org. Under the resource tab, you'll see another link for labor market research analysis. Once a quarter, as I said, we tell you what the open jobs are, who's hiring the most, who's posted the most, where towns these businesses are in. So for example, in Somerset County, Bridgewater consistently has the most job postings. Franklin's pretty high up there, but Bridgewater is the most. We also tell you what those sectors are, what the businesses are, what the jobs actually are, and again, what the skills are that people are looking for. This is another website that you may find helpful, pay scale for pay, which gives you pay and skills as well. It's important as you're thinking about pivoting that while your overall vision can stay the same, but the strategy that you're using to get to that vision may need to be tweaked or totally changed. Do you adjust your targets, both for company and jobs? Do you consider freelance or remote work? As I said, that's something that still is growing. And also try to find people who have successfully gone into the field that you're thinking about, and understand what led to their success. This could be developing a relationship with recruiters, or also joining appropriate LinkedIn groups that could assist you in whatever your goal may be. And this is something that I think is always interesting. Often when I'll after I do something like this, or when I'm in a business meeting with somebody, I'll see that after we've had a conversation, they become a LinkedIn, they join my LinkedIn connect, they become a LinkedIn connection. And it's been a kind of a good way for me to exchange information and learn more from resources and workforce development that help me build some of the muscles that I need to help our customers. If motivation is an issue, excuse me, let me just take a drink of water. It's important to understand that there are different types of motivators for people. Some people are motivated intrinsically, and others are extrinsically. Oh my goodness, I can't talk today. Intrinsically, you can be motivated by being for a sense of belonging. You love learning things. You love mastering something. Others of us really like getting that badge, participating in a competition. Some of us are motivated by fear as well. A successful job search, though, really requires you to tap into your intrinsic motivation muscles. And let me just go back. So, whoops, sorry, I went to the wrong one. Again, intrinsic focuses on autonomy, belonging, curiosity, a love or passion for what you're doing, learning and mastery and meaning. Oh, sorry, hitting the wrong thing again. There we go. If you're focusing on those things in a job search, you're more likely to grow some autonomy, which allows you to focus on areas that you can control and influence and ignore the things that you just know, no matter what I do, I'm not going to change that outcome. So let me focus on what I can control. It also allows you to grow some mastery. So it allows you to focus on identifying and building specific job search skills that will allow you to have more success, and also kind of keep doing that check of how am I improving, whether you're doing a daily reflection or you're going back every 2 weeks to say, how am I doing? It also, I think, allows you to grow a little more purpose, so that you're acting in alignment with what's important to you, regardless of the external circumstances that you're experiencing. And also, it allows you, I think, to connect to projects and activities that give you a sense of purpose in life. And I will share that I think one of the things that I feel very fortunate is that for 35 years, I was a community journalist, that I felt I was really helping people in small ways understand different topics and live a fuller life. And that's really what I love about this job too, because when we're doing it successfully, we're helping people get motivated or get connected at least to jobs and skills that will make a difference in their lives. And also helping our businesses too in the same way. As I said, we have those two buckets of customers, and we want to make sure both that we're serving both to the best of our ability. It's also, I think, important, and this is, I think, been particularly hard since the middle of March to focus on your mood and looking at the positive and negative, and remembering that whatever you focus on is what is most likely going to grow. So if you can help yourself focus on the positive, you'll be more likely to grow a positive outcome. What are some of the actions you should choose? Let it pass, let it go. I don't want to start singing like I'm in Frozen, but that's important to think about. It is important to let some things grow and not let them go and not let them eat at you. Keep thinking about what are the connections that I can make. And also remember your core values. What are the most important values to you? What action can you take that will connect back to those values, and be very mindful or purpose about it? Again, observe what you're doing, reflect on it, and if you need to make a change, make the change. And as the experts say, rinse and repeat. So this just becomes just how you work your job search. This is just something to remind people to reinforce that point from Albert Einstein. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is his definition of insanity. And I think there's some truth to that as well. It's important that we be honest with ourselves and understand that some things we can't change, but some things we can, and to really, again, have that sphere of control. But to do that, you need to keep having these honest daily or every other week reflections on what you're doing. And so going back to that point, think about the things that you can concern or control versus what you can actually control. So this is an example of reactive versus proactive people, and things that you can control. Sorry, I'm pointing to a screen like you can see what I'm doing, versus things that you that are concerned about, that you have no control over. And I think, you know, one of the things that this slide talks about is attitude and enthusiasm. I think that anyone who's worked with me over the years knows that I do bring a lot of enthusiasm, and I try to positivity. And when I'm not positive, I try to, you know, slap myself a little and share sit and moonlight, get over it, and just go forward. I think that's really just an important thing that we all need to, you know, just remind ourselves we're human. Again, no blame, no shame, but, you know, again, but address it. As I just said, be honest with yourself as you're going through this process, and don't judge yourself. Don't get defensive. That doesn't really do any good. But think about, where can you put your effort and where can you put more effort? What else might I need to learn about my process? And what could I experiment with to see if I could get different results? You know, I think one of the things, it's kind of like going back to plan A, B, and C. If you try something and in a couple weeks it's not working, well, then it didn't work. I used to say when I was a newspaper editor before the internet really took over how we would do something, you know, I would say, well, we got something wrong, but and it's 50,000 or 60,000 people have seen it. We apologize for our mistake and don't make that mistake again. We learn from it and go on. And, you know, sometimes that means trying things, seeing that they may be great, we want to keep doing more of it, or we've tried something and it's like, oh, not so good, so let's stop that. It's a constant evaluation. The key to success, according to the job search experts, have clarity that you have about yourself, the companies and work that you want to do, and your goals. Have some intensity about it, be positive about it, and really importantly, track what you're doing. And metrics, you know, has become such a buzzword for us, and no matter what profession you're in. But it is important to track your activities and your outcomes to understand, well, is this working? Am I getting, you know, you've set your goals. Are you getting the results that you want? Or again, what do you need to maybe do a little bit differently? And for the things that are working, understand what they are and see how can you do more of it. So as part of this process, are you clear about your job targets, your companies, and your qualifications? Again, are you doing a parallel job search so that you're not putting all, you know, the cliche, all the eggs in one basket? Doesn't always work for you. Are you putting in the time that's needed? And are you putting in the right time on the right activities, the activities that will give you the highest impact? Again, are you tracking and documenting what you're doing so that you understand it, or are you just doing everything in your head? And are you analyzing what is working and then again tweaking it and the process to improve your outcome? So as the experts are saying as part of this, are you targeting the right companies and the right work for your skills? Are you applying for enough jobs? Are you trying to customize your pitch for whatever company that you're working with to make sure that they understand your skills and that they're in alignment? Are you working on referrals? Are you communicating to whoever you're talking to that you're living in 2020? Are you on social media? Are you using it effectively? That is just key, particularly now as more with so many companies still working remotely. I think I was just on a webinar this morning with the Somerset County Business Partnership, and I would say that of the 15 people that were on, and these were all business people, about half of them were working from home. I happen to be at my office right now. I've been in my office almost every day since July, and even before that, I was still coming in on a couple days a week. So, but I'm seeing that is still not the norm, and certainly with what's happening with the COVID numbers going back up, I don't think we should expect people to be going back to whatever normal was and will be. It's still going to be a lot of remote working. So that's why I think social media is so important, understanding how to use that effectively. So as part of that, are you attending the virtual events and activities that may help you meet some target employers? And are you engaging in activities, whatever they may be, that to communicate your value and building your skills? So, that could be, so for example, we have a program called Skill Upgrade or Raritan that has 5,000 free online courses that anyone can take. And some of those skills may support whatever your goal may be. So, and showing people that you're doing these skills as you're looking for a job can be, just give you that little bit of extra value to whoever your prospective employer may be. And again, I know this is hard. Sometimes the last thing I want to do is get on another webinar or, but are you looking for new ways? Are you looking for new opportunities and new people that you can build relationships with that will help you achieve your outcome? Now, again, these are all different webinars that could help with what you're doing. Since we'll be posting this entire webinar on our site, and you'll be able to review the screen as we're going through. So if you go like halfway through, it should show this screen. But this is just a nice summary of different webinars that can keep building on the discussion, and that you can listen to at your own pace. And these are some more questions that are recommended to ask yourself as you're going through your job script, going through an interview, or even just talking with other people. Are you listening? Not dominating the conversation, but really listening. Are you communicating your energy and enthusiasm? Are you communicating that you have the aptitude and skills that will help you succeed in the position and help the organization? Are you being accurate and positive? And not being afraid to say, I don't know, but let me think about that or work on it, but do it in a positive way. Are you knowing what the keywords are in that particular job description and focusing on those during the conversation? And do you understand who your screener is and treating them with respect? As part of this, are you conducting enough research before you get an interview so that you can really understand how you need to sell yourself? And are you selling your value based on your experience? Again, maybe, as I said, you worked in the hospitality industry. Well, you may have the skills that will help you in a non-hospitality position. So, don't be afraid to sell yourself and understand what the goals of the particular position are. Again, it's just like you need to plan, you need to practice. Before I started, this is only the second time I've given this presentation to a group, but I think I must have practiced it for 3 to 4 hours, also be more like 6 hours, to make sure that I could refine it and could offer everything that I need to offer in the amount of time that we are allotted for this. Again, are you being energetic, enthusiastic, and optimistic? Are you addressing any objections? Thinking about how you might rephrase something so that it becomes something positive rather than negative, and also demonstrating that you aren't afraid to learn new things, that you enjoy learning new things, and always, what questions are you asking? Are you asking good, positive questions, or are you becoming defensive? All things that we can naturally do that we need to be mindful of. These are some more webinars that you'll be able to pull down about interviewing, particularly if you're someone who's a little bit older and the likelihood of being interviewed by someone who's younger. I've been in that position. It's a little unpleasant, but it's okay. As part of this whole process, it's very important to have clarity, personal clarity about your qualifications, your experiences, what you love doing versus what that makes you better than some other candidates. Have clarity about your personal values. That's, know who you are and what you want. Make sure you have clarity about the title and the tasks. Sometimes that people get surprised when they shouldn't because they didn't ask the right questions or read material appropriately. Make sure you, though this may not apply right now, I think last night I was talking to somebody for Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield, and in the background I could hear her child crying, and she kept apologizing. But that's our reality right now. The geography might be your own home if that's something that you're comfortable with. But again, have a clarity about the industries and occupations that you're interested in and the type of work environment that you are comfortable in. And that work environment can be in person or remote. And again, then how do you build a team remote work muscles? And those are all different things that we address through our Skill Up classes. Again, goals. Identify it, make sure that you have your identity goals chosen, and develop a process too for this. And this is something that the experts recommend if you're in the middle of a job search, applying for 5 jobs a week. Try to make sure that you're meeting 3 new people each week and attend 4 some type of networking events each month. And there are numerous opportunities for that. Particularly, there are so many webinars going on, not only in local libraries, but there are different business groups for job seekers that we have listed on our website. So there are ways to find out, do a little research that will help you build on what you're doing. And also, again, set your weekly and daily goals. And this resource down here is something that will kind of builds on that. And here's, again, this is kind of going back to something that, the idea of motivating and positive versus negative. Well, here's some things that job seekers, according to the experts, should focus on versus what they shouldn't focus on. So don't focus on what's wrong. Don't focus on age or experience, or maybe you've been out of work for a long time. Don't get hung up on that. Or, oh, pity me, no one wants me. Or why isn't this working? Or, oh my God, I'm never going to get this done because there's so many different barriers that I'm facing. In your mind, we get lost sometimes in what's negative. So it's really important to focus, according to the experts, on what's positive. What is working and what has worked, and keep building on that. From that, how can I get more of that? What's positive that I can build on? And if something negative's happened, well, look at it and see what can I learn from it, and how can I try to do what do I need to do to try to ensure that it doesn't happen again? And finally, how could I act as if? How could I be positive? Really focus on what is positive and what is possible. As part of this, it's also important to think about what your best working environment is, so that you understand what allows you to be successful. And that could be, are you someone who really thrives on schedules? Are you good at time management, or do you need a little help for that? Are you someone who's setting your priorities? Are you reducing and eliminating distractions as part of your job search, so that you're giving, if you're going to spend 2 hours every day on something, are you doing it in a specified environment and time that will allow you to create a successful job search? Are you creating the structures and that are allowing you to do that job search? Are you reflecting on it? Are you tracking it? Again, really it's important to track what you're doing. I mean, putting some metrics to it to ensure that you're getting the results that lead to success. And are you reflecting on all of that? Going back to that point I made a couple slides ago, well, no, quite a few slides ago. This is for a job search, one of the recommendations that the experts are giving. 20% finding job openings and applying for them. 20% is making your resume and LinkedIn profile easy to find and communicating your value. And 60% developing new connections, building relationships, doing mini projects that demonstrate your value and experience. And that goes back to that, I think, the very second slide that I sent you, that I shared, where you've got the pyramid slide. Networking was the kind of like the sweet spot where that's still important to employers, and that should be important to job seekers. So that's why that 60% bulge here is where that kind of comes from. Again, I keep emphasizing tracking. These are a couple of tools that you can consider using as you're trying to do your tracking. Just from Jabber, Startwire, and I looked these up. They're helpful, and it's something that, and you have the time in your job search. If you put some of this time up front to create these tools, it could lead to success further on. The experts also are talking about having 3 types of plans that people often use. Haphazard, I know I'm guilty of that sometimes. Focused, which is concentrating on just a very small number of employers, or exploratory, which they recommend as the best one. You're examining and exploring several options that are all related to your main goal. Excuse me. So why a targeted job search? It helps focus your effort and time. It helps you be less overwhelmed by what you're going through, and allows you to feel more control, and also allows you to be more work more strategically. You'll see that you'll become more convincing and polished in your interactions with people, and also ultimately more effective. And it allows you to really kind of align to show how you fit and add value to the different organizations that you may work with or work for. Again, going back to what we were talking about previously, and I'll share a couple examples, but have that multi-level plan. Plan A, that boy, this would be great to have this job. The plan B, that it's another option. And then your plan C, that plan B is something that still is, you're not going to be miserable. Now, that's probably not a high bar, but it's something that will still provide you with satisfaction. And then the plan C, that the contract work, the part-time work, that will help you bridge as you continue to work on plan A and B. This is just an example of something, a plan format that you can use that would that helps you organize what you're doing, focusing on your job titles and your objective, your skills and competencies, what you want to do, and what education and credentials you may bring to the position. Also, the target, the geography, the industry, the size of organization, and the type of culture that you're working with. Excuse me. So these are all, a way to help you to organize your job search if you need that type of tight, more refined plan, which is something that really this whole process, the experts are recommending that you embrace. This is an example of how you could do it, how you would fill out this form. Again, the locations, industries, etc. And I think probably culture is something that we don't always focus on, but it's something that's very important, because the job as it's listed may be something that looks good, but if you don't have a discussion with your hiring manager or people who are already in that shop, you may find that it doesn't align, and that you need to think about whether this is going to be something that you'll be ultimately successful in, because, oh my God, you're going to be miserable. And the experts are recommending that you use this form for your 3 tiers, your plan A for the ideal, plan B, this looks pretty good, and plan C, here's what I can do for now, and maybe it will lead to a permanent relationship, or maybe it's just that bridge that allows you to get between your land masses. Again, the experts recommend that you are monitoring your progress all the time. Excuse me. Just want to check on something. Okay. How are your different goals and tactics helping you move to your overall goals? Maybe you need another like little mini plan that supports your overall goal. So don't be afraid to develop something new. But toward that point, though, don't get so entranced in the parts of the process that you're allowing yourself to become unfocused from your main goal. That could allow you to become distracted, and it's not where you want to be. Again, as I keep talking about, the experts keep saying, what are you learning from your job search? Are you listening to your job search? Are what you're planning, is it feasible, is it viable, or do you need to rethink that? And as part of that, so if you do, what are the changes that you need to make? And also, what are you learning about yourself in this? What may you need to for success going forward? What are you learning about your own skills that may be need to be sharpened or built for success? And again, I'm not trying to hype our free platform, but one of the things that Skill Upgrader Raritan has is this really neat tool that allows you to self-rate your skills. Then you can also, from your self-rate, you can then look at an occupation, a sector and an occupation, and see how they line up. And if you have a particular job that you want, that you're looking for, but you may need additional skills to really get it successful. Just a moment, please.
Can you turn that down a little? Sorry.
Thanks.
There's no bubble in that.
You're fine.
I turned it off. I'm gonna put on the headphones.
Again, as the action steps from what we've been talking about, develop your plans A, B, and C. Have a little marketing plan for each, and focus time each week. It's very specific on what you're doing. Create some sub goals. Make sure that you're pursuing diverse strategies and how you're going about it. Going back to that, what I showed several slides ago. Monitor how things are going, and get feedback on that. And also, don't be afraid to revise your goals, your sub goals, your strategy and plans as needed, so that you can get the success that you're looking for in your job search. These are some other documents that are recommended that you might find helpful. And again, you'll be able to get this. You'll be able to see these slides on the taped the tape presentation that I'll be posting, and you'll be able to stop it and look at it and write things down. In summary, let your search keep teaching you, and it's going back to what we were talking about. The experts recommend that you plan in 2-week sprints. So in that 2-week period, reflect on what did you accomplish, what do you still need to work on, what did you learn from what's happened, and kind of like that rinse and repeat. Start, stop, and continue. What do you need to start doing? What do you need to stop doing? What do you need to continue doing? Let me just see. I'm just replying to someone who just sent me something privately. So as part of that, after you've done that, what are your goals, strategies, and tactics for the next 2 weeks? If what you did is working, then you're going to continue that. Well, but if some things didn't work, what do you need to do differently? Are there new tasks that you need? Are there additional resources? Whether that be different websites, talking to different people, looking up information, and also understand what got in your way during that period. And that's kind of going back to what we began with in the very beginning, having that honest check-in with yourself with a daily reflection, and then this 2-week process. And going back to having a plan. Sometimes we may need that to actually schedule things so that we really have a very discrete idea of what we want to do and where we want to go. There we go. Daily, The check-ins include what happened that day. Again, always, what did I learn from it? What was the impact of it? How am I feeling emotionally? You know, it's okay to ask that and you know, have that little bit of time for yourself. And then after you've done that, what are you going to focus on tomorrow, and what do you need to tweak for tomorrow as well? And the experts keep reminding us that it's important to have a log and journal, actually track our activities and results and the effort that we've put into it. Also then just have some honest conversation about our emotions, our feelings, and our mood. And again, that rinse and repeat, or stop, start, continue. What is not working that I need to stop? What do I need to start doing? And what is working that I should do more of? What could work better if I increase the effort or develop my skills? So it's a very positive way, I think, to look at your job search. And this is some final thoughts. It's important to act. Schedule time right now to work through some of your issues that may be hindering you, and pay attention to the physical, mental, and emotional aspects of your search, and leave some time just to breathe. Always remember to reflect on what you've learned and how it can impact your search, and then act on building what works, so that you make what's working a habit, so that it's something you always do and not something that you're reactive to, that you have to do because you're in a crisis mode. And so that means too, monitoring and tweaking how you spend your time, and most importantly, treat everything as a learning experience. What is it telling you about what you do, don't want, what you could do, what you shouldn't be doing, what you should be doing? And that pretty much takes us to the end of the presentation. One question that I would like to leave you with, that you can either unmute yourself and answer, or answer in the chat, or just answer privately. From everything that I've just presented, what's the one specific concrete action you will do with this information? And that could be anything. But you can think about that. What is the one specific concrete action that you will take from this presentation and try to put into action for your job search? And this final page, this is where you will find the presentation. I'm going to put it on the GRWDB.org, and will be put in on the resources tab under job seekers. That's so you'll find a link that will say making your job search work for you presentation. It'll be a highlighted link that will take you to the recording that you'll be able to listen to. You'll also find on our site a list of, I think I highlighted this, see if this works. Yes. So I'm also this is how you can contact us for more information. This is info@the.grwd.org, and that's our phone number. We're very good about getting back to you, whether it's by email or phone. And this is information on our Skill Up site. We also have, we also encourage people, if you're not doing so already, go to text the phrase "one stop" to 56512. That'll get you alerts to various information, to programs on that we're doing in the system. See, this is, oh good, it's going to work. Yay. So this is our website. This is the events tab that I was talking about. This is the calendar that has all the different programs that we're doing. We keep adding. You'll see, even though we're getting to Thanksgiving, that week before Thanksgiving is really busy with a lot of things already. Some are from us, some are from partners, and some are things that I'm hearing about as from different searches that I'm doing, or emails that I'm getting. For example, there's an open house done for a Zoom open house for advanced manufacturing camp that the College of Morris is offering. This is another webinar that our career coach in the One Stop Career Network is doing about how to thrive during transition and change. Every Thursday, we do simple half-hour webinars introducing people to Skill Up. We have, this keeps, I don't know how much I've got in December. I think surprising amount considering, oh, not as surprising as I would like. Oh, I don't have that much for December yet. Well, we'll keep adding, I promise. And this is where you're going to find this presentation under resources and job seekers. You will find it listed there. I'll put it right toward the top, but I also wanted to point out to you that every week we are sending out and posting job openings that come into the state system for each of our counties. So this is the one that we shared on this past Monday. We do post this every Monday. And so this will show you a company, this which town it's located in, the title, and this is the actual link to a full description and an application. And we do this every week. You'll see there's lots of jobs, a good number of jobs in Franklin that just came up from this past week. And you can see if you're a fit for those jobs, or you can get an idea of at least too. This is another way just to understand in real time what the job market looks like in the county. This is also a cool website. Let's see if it works. It was working yesterday. Okay, good. So this is another job site that lists jobs from around the state that are coming up by county, and you can also, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. If you click on the search tool, you can reformat this so you can search by employer, job title, city, county, industry title. It's just another way for you to see what exists around in the surrounding counties and in the state. And that link was right here under the career dashboard. We also link to the governor's COVID-19 jobs and hiring portal. If you haven't used that, that is a really good tool. And most of these jobs are in-person jobs. So just something to be aware of. Some of them are remote positions, but most of them are immediate in-person positions. And then this job seekers site just has a lot more information of a whole bunch of different resources that you can use in your job search, whether they're county, state programs, county positions, private organizations. We've tried to make this as complete as possible that you can bookmark and go back to whenever you want to get more information on your job search. Under the resources tab, this is also for our skill upgrader Raritan. This is how you can get in, sign into to click to sign up and just start going. And as long as you're a resident of, if you're a resident of Somerset and Hunterdon counties, or worked for a business in Hunterdon or Somerset County, and they laid you off, we will also allow you to use this even if you live outside of the county. And it's free training for 6 months once you sign up 24/7. And as I mentioned, this tab here, labor market information and research, allows you to look at some of our latest data, which shows you here what are the employment trends going back for the year and also from last year. We're trying to provide a lot of information. Unfortunately, because of the change in what COVID has done, some of our previous trends have changed quite a bit, but some of them are staying the same. So it's another way just to become more comfortable in understanding what's happening in real time in our area. And finally, the contact button. this is us and the Workforce Development Board. We're here to help you in any way you need. We're all pretty good about responding quickly to emails and getting back to you via phone. So that, I think, I'm ending 10 minutes early, which is not a bad thing. Does anyone have any questions about what I've presented or any feedback? You can either unmute yourself or put a question in the chat feature. I'll be happy to try to answer your question. Oh, and let me just, and that last, let's see what happens. I want to go to here, right? Nope, I don't want to go there. Hope I don't lose you. I'm just trying to get something back on the screen from the last. Carrie Sullivan from the library. Every month, the Franklin Township Library does offer at least one career-related program per month, and the December offerings will go live in the next week. We're happy to support the library in whatever way we can to share the resources that we have available. And I can't get it back because I'm being a little stupid. Let me see. Here we go. I did get back. As I said, we built this using material from the New Start Career Network. This is a wonderful resource for people, particularly for people who are long-term unemployed. Excuse me. But if you go to their website is highlighted under our Job Seekers tab, but you'll find just a rich resource, really rich resource of webinars and printouts and all types of different things that you can use to supplement and build upon what we've talked about today, or go in a whole different direction, whatever works for you. This is not meant to be a Bible per se. This is just meant, this presentation is just meant to give you some ideas and food for thought. And then, that what works for you, take, and what doesn't work, say thank you very much, but next. And I think that concludes it. Does anyone have any questions or concerns? All right, then I am going to say thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me, and keep coming